Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Wednesday. And first and foremost, as always, just want to send out positive vibrations and blessings to anybody who could be listening. It is much appreciated you tuning in and just taking part of today's show. So with all that being said, we do know that the Los Angeles Lakers were in action on last night down in Dallas, Texas. A place where I once resided a long time ago. But at the end of the day, the Lakers, we all know the stars at night shine real bright deep in the heart of Texas. And Luka Dončić was a star for Dallas that shone real bright last night. And the Lakers, unfortunately, their stars were on the bench and could not contribute. And as you know, I'm talking about a Lebron James and a Anthony Davis who were out of last night's action, of course. And before I get into the game and just get into a lot of things, there's some things that I want to touch on. There's quite a bit I want to touch on today, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to try to pace myself and try not to forget anything. But the first thing I want to kind of get on is all these smooth-brained individual hating people that just got hatred in their heart type individuals. You know, we always send back love to all the haters, you know, so it's not really a big deal to me. But sometimes I really wonder how the mechanics, the mechanism within your brain work, because I don't understand the brain of a hater, I guess because I've never really been one. So maybe some of you haters could give me insight, or maybe some of you people that deal with a lot of haters can give me some insight, because I don't even deal with haters, to be honest. You know, I just, I don't deal with them at all. But I bring this up because people actually had the audacity all over the internet and all over the nation for these LeBron James haters and people like that just coming out saying that LeBron James' ankle is not even hurt. He just resting up his ankle for the next game, or resting up, taking load management. Did y'all see his foot when it turned all the way to the side? Did you see his foot when it was turned all the way to the side? If not, I'm going to try to find a graphic and put it on here if I can remember to, just so you can see. And I even said during that New Orleans game, when that happened, that ankle was going to stiffen up, and more than likely he would not be playing. And then after the game, he said it was horrible, and he doesn't know how he made it through the game. But yet, there's these smooth-brained people out here who will continue to say, well, LeBron James, he not really hurt. He milking the injury. They know they're not going to get to the playoffs. He's just trying to win the scoring title. This and... Listen, man, LeBron James' ultimate priority is to win basketball games. Whether anybody else believe it or not, of course, people are going to have their personal goals and accomplishments that they want to achieve, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the way LeBron James has always gone about it is those statistics come with whatever it takes he needs to win. And people are saying, actually dumb people like Skip Bayless, he decided he's just going to go out here and score and get the championship, the scoring championship, because he know that they're not going to win for the playoffs, you know, blah, 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 which makes absolutely no sense. If you watch any of the games and you know anything about basketball, you can see time in and time out, LeBron James is passing it to open shooters, creating for others, but these shooters simply have not made the shots, and that includes Carmelo Anthony. So, you know, I won't get into the in and the outs of the game just yet. I just had to chime in on that for the people who say, well, LeBron is just sitting because... No, if you see, his ankle was turned. He is sitting. He's not 25 years old. He used to could roll his ankle and keep playing and come back the next game, get it taped up and play through it. But at the end of the day, the Lakers needed this game. So if you want to be mad at anybody for not participating, then how about we put some of this on A1 Anthony Davis, because all reports are saying that Anthony Davis has been in contact practices. He's taken steps and practices to where he is doing full-on contact drills and practices and playing and working up a sweat and participating fully in practice. So if you can participate fully in practice, and you know that the Lakers season is on the line as far as being able to compete for a championship, which was the ultimate goal at the start of the season, then you need to go out there and do whatever you can to get on the floor. Now, if you have a 37-year-old playing through tendonitis and knee issues all during the year, carrying this team, and that's another thing, people trying to say, he's just stat padding. No, he's scoring. If you notice, the games where he scored 50, they win. So he has to go out and do whatever he has to do just so they can compete, just so they can be competitive. And you can see last night, this same team without LeBron James, the same team without a LeBron James is pathetic. And what happened? They gave up the most points ever in the first half. Gave up 80 points in franchise history. Gave up the most points in the first half in franchise history. Now, I don't know about you, but that shows you how much of difference LeBron James is when he is in the game with this squad. Just to be down and just to give up that many points. But the thing about it is, Frank Vogel came out with the lineup with Austin Reeves in the 3 spot, Malik Monk in the 2 spot, Westbrook in the 1 spot, and of course Stanley Johnson in the 4 and Dwight Howard in the 5, which is, I wouldn't say such a bad matchup, but I don't feel he made necessary adjustments through the game. And to be honest, I quit watching it after a while because I couldn't even take it anymore. Nobody takes him serious as a coach. And I know people say, well, you cannot blame Frank Vogel. But my thing is, why is nobody in the media, anybody pointing fingers? We the fans can see it. We the fans can see his horrible rotations and matchups. And people say, well, what could he have done better last night? I mean, how about, if Powell is out here for Dallas, he's a 6'10" center. They're stretching the floor. And the great pickup by them, getting rid of Porzingis to stretch the floor even more with the new big men, and the addition of also Spencer Dinwiddie. That shows you that the coaching, there's some good coaching going on with Jason Kidd being the head coach. The Lakers passed up on Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd took Dallas from 22nd in the league in defense to top 5 in defense this year. So I know it's about personnel. I'm not dumb. But at the end of the day, sometimes a lot of this goes on coaching. And when you can't motivate your team, and your team constantly goes out and gives up 20 point leads in the first quarter, night in and night out, or get up by 20 and cannot hold a lead, then at some point you have to point to coaching. Because if you up by 24 or 25, you're doing something right, and then all of a sudden the other team made adjustments and you did not. But people want to blame it all. It's all on just effort. It's not all effort. It is X's and O's to this game we call basketball. You understand what I'm saying? And even LeBron James, after he turned the ankle and was not available, you would like to see Anthony Davis go out and give it his all. They said he would come back the first week of April. Well, tomorrow is the damn end of the month. It's the 31st. So I expect to see Anthony Davis suit up on Friday against the Pelicans, against your former team at home, knowing you need this game in order to have any chance of being in the play-in. And right now, you are on the outside looking in of the play-in. You are on the outside looking in of the play-in, which means you don't even control your own destiny. Because all San Antonio has to do is win the remainder of their games. Even if you win the remainder of your games, you will not make it in. So San Antonio and New Orleans' destiny is in their own hands. And even if you beat New Orleans and they win the rest of their games, they still got the tiebreaker with you. And of course, San Antonio owns the tiebreaker as well over the Lakers. And we know a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, when LeBron, they went out and won a pretty good game. And then they actually played well. I want to say it was Utah or somebody they beat. It was a pretty good win. And you're thinking, okay, here comes the 2-game winning streak because they got San Antonio next. Well, LeBron James rested his knee that night because of the tendonitis in the knee and missed. And y'all end up blowing the lead and losing to the Spurs that very game. Who knew that it could potentially come back to haunt them? Now, I'm going to get into Russell Westbrook in his post-game presser here in just a little bit. But for right now, let's just focus in on the play-in picture for the Western Conference, which maybe later today or tomorrow I can come back and do a update on the play-in tournament in the Eastern Conference. But right now we'll focus on the West. As we all know, the Lakers have fallen to the 11th, as we said before, which means the Lakers have fallen to 11th, which means, of course, San Antonio is 10, New Orleans is 9. And then, of course, for the 8th spot, you had the Clippers, who played a hell of a game last night, who were down. They were down by 23 or 24 points against Utah, who they actually came back to beat last year, of course, in the playoffs. Even though Mike Conley had a pulled hammy and Donovan Mitchell was not 100%, but ultimately the Clippers did what they needed to do last night, and that's the point in good coaching as far as what Ty Lue is able to do with his team that Frank Vogel simply cannot do with his team. And you can't tell me it's all about simply personnel, because like as I stated before, look at San Antonio. Popovich is a great coach, and who on their team but other than DeJounte Murray is worth mentioning. But yet he has them with the same playoff record as the Lakers. He has them with the same exact record as the Lakers as far as wins and losses, and is beating them more head to head. And that's with a lesser quality team, because if you have a Russell Westbrook and LeBron James, regardless of an Anthony Davis, you should be able to go out and win these games. But like I keep saying, Frank Vogel does not know how to rotate his pieces. He does not know how to strategize as far as his matchups are concerned. He gets constantly out-coached. Last night, it would have been nice to see Gabriel play some at the 5 spot. Since Dallas is really going small, why not play Gabriel some at the 5 spot? Let Stanley Johnson play at that 4 spot, where Stanley Johnson played 34 minutes. He was the only Laker who was in a plus status. Everybody else negative double digits. So Stanley Johnson out here doing something right. Let him play the 4. He could actually play good defense. And then Gabriel, who can play good defense. And why not give Avery Bradley more playing time, who is a good defender? How about start the game with Avery Bradley, but no, you start with Reeves and Monk. If you start with Avery Bradley, then you have somebody who can try to double team better and defend Luka Dončić better, because he pretty much did what he wanted. And then, of course, Dwight Howard, he played, 5 minutes? You can see he out here getting done up on pick and roll, because he really cannot guard pick and roll. He's not a good pick and roll defender as he used to be, because he's lost a lot of athleticism. And, of course, Luka Dončić is a damn maestro when it comes to setting people up on their pick and roll. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to blame the whole thing on coaching, but, of course, coaching leads to motivation and getting your players prepared, because obviously they're not prepared. So if they can play a team like the 76ers without LeBron James and can be right there with them the entire game, but then they can come out against Dallas and just get done in, people hit a few threes, and then you just panic, and instead of sticking to any kind of game plan, you said, even in the prayer, I got plan A, plan B, and plan C. Why the hell you got so many game plans? That means you're not confident in what you're doing. You're not confident in what you're doing, and none of the players can establish any chemistry or cohesion because you're constantly mixing it up. I guarantee y'all, do me a favor, go to NBA.com or whatever app you got and go to each game by game. You're going to see all the successful teams are going 9 deep at the most. And these other 4 rotation players just coming off the bench know their role, know when they're going to play. I can't emphasize this enough. They know their role, they know when they're going to play, and they know how many minutes they're going to play and what their job duty is. The Lakers don't know. They're the only team to go 11, 12 deep. It's not because they're deep and they're great. It's because Frank Vogel is clueless. Frank Vogel is clueless. But like I was saying, let me focus back in on what the Lakers need to do in order to secure a play-in tournament spot. Now, we all know that the Spurs, like I said, hold their destiny in their own hands. But the Spurs, they don't have a very easy schedule. The Lakers really don't have a very easy schedule, but the Spurs, now the Pelicans, they schedule, I think they're going to really solidify their spot probably as the 9th seed, more than likely, in my guess. But this is just me. My predictions is, if you look at it, the Lakers remaining games, San Antonio remaining games tonight, they play Memphis. Let's hope my Memphis Grizzlies, Beale Street Blue Memphis Grizzlies from my home state of Tennessee will be able to vanquish San Antonio tonight and help the Lakers out. And I think that they will, because the Grizzlies have been playing great, even without Ja Morant. We saw what they did to Golden State the other day. And if they go out and take care of business against San Antonio tonight, which San Antonio got lucky against Houston the other night and won by 3 in the last 1 seconds of the game. So, I think Memphis should win that game. And then if you think about it, the Spurs after that, they got Portland twice. That's the sad part about it. But I predict that Portland will lose both of those games, and San Antonio will win both. Basically win both of those games. And if you look at it from a win-loss perspective, in order for the Lakers to get into the play-in tournament, since they cannot tie and have the same amount of losses as the Spurs, they have to have less losses than the Spurs. And right now, and let's just do some simple math here. Let's do some simple math. Right now, the Spurs are 31-44, and the Lakers are 31-44, right? So both of them have 44 losses. So like I said, the Spurs lose tonight, they'll have 45 losses, and then the Lakers will move back up into the 10th spot. So the Spurs lose tonight against Memphis, but then I predict they'll win both games against Portland, but then they got to go to Denver. I expect that to be a loss. I would imagine that to be a loss to Denver. So that's 2 losses. Then they take on Minnesota. Minnesota, who is still fighting for something, because Minnesota could actually get out of the play-in tournament and secure that 6th seed the way Utah is playing, So the way Utah is falling back, and the way, the Clippers feel like they might have an even chance to do that with the way Utah is playing, So Dallas is right there, and they all fighting not to get that position. They want to solidify that six seed, because that keeps them out of the play-in. So I say they lose to Denver, because Denver is going to be fighting hard. They lose to Minnesota, because Minnesota is going to be fighting hard. Golden State doesn't want to fall down to 4th, I would imagine, because it's such a tight-knit race in the middle part. So then they finish with Golden State and Dallas. So like I said, I think they lose to Memphis. I think they lose to Denver twice. I think they lose to Golden State. And I think they lose to Dallas. That's 5 losses, which would put them at 49 losses for the season. That would put them at 49 losses for the season. So now you turn around and you look at the Pelicans. The Pelicans got Portland, then they got the Lakers. I'm going to say the Lakers, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Lakers are going to win that game. So now you're looking at a loss for Portland. For the Pelicans, they got what? Pelicans only got 43 losses. So then a loss to the Lakers. Then they play the Clippers. The Clippers are still playing for something, I would imagine, with the way the Clippers have been playing, even though they did go on a 3-game skid, that they could win that game. So I would say they lose to Lakers, they lose to Clippers. They got Sacramento, easy game, I think. Who knows what can happen. But then they got Portland again. Then they got Memphis. That would be their 3rd loss. And then after Memphis, they got Golden State, which would be only 4 losses. So you add the 4 losses to the 43, and they end up with 47 losses. And like I said, I think the Spurs will lose 5 games, putting them at 49 losses. So now let's take a look at the purple and gold. Now, all of this, what I'm about to say, is with the premise that LeBron James will be in this game, and also with the premise that Anthony Davis will be in the remaining games after that. So basically what it is, the Lakers are going to the Lakers next games, of course, is Thursday night. They got Utah, right? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. LeBron James may not play that game. He may, just because he hurt that ankle on Sunday. If he come back Friday, they give him more days of rest not to re-aggravate it. I would hope if he could play that game that they could win. He's done that before, and they played small ball and was able to get Utah out of their game. But with the way Utah just lost to the Clippers, I don't think that they're going to be giving away anything and going to be playing mighty hard to make up for their loss. But at the end of the day, I'm going to get that L to the Lakers. Hopefully they can pull it out if LeBron James come back. But more than likely, even if he was, it's not a guarantee that they could pull that one out. So I'm going to throw that one into the L column, especially the way the Lakers have been playing. So L column for that. That's 1 loss. So then you got the Pelicans. I already said that. I think the Lakers could and should win this game. They saw the formula of what they needed to do early on in the last game. They will be at home, so that should play in their favor. So I give them the victory on that. Then the Lakers got Denver. The Lakers have played Denver pretty good historically, but I just think Denver is a better team. Of course, it just depends. Now, if Anthony Davis were to come back, this would be the game that Anthony Davis would come back. I would give him that W. But I'm going to say this Anthony Davis first game back. The Lakers haven't built enough chemistry and continuity yet, so I'm not going to get that game to the Lakers. I'm going to throw them an L for that one too against Denver. And then they take on Minnesota. At this point, I think Anthony Davis is back. I think LeBron James is back. And I think with everything on the line, and this is going to be a tune-up for the play-in game, that they are going to come in focused, tuned up, and ready. I'm going to give that game to the Lakers. And then we're gonna play Golden State, and then you got Golden State, who has not been playing well, and the Lakers have beaten a couple times this season, and done so even though one of them was on the back of a 50-point performance of LeBron James. But it all depends on what Golden State will be playing for at this point. Considering this no, I'm sorry, I looked at that wrong, y'all. My little note sheet that I got right here is they will not be playing Golden State. I was looking at the Spurs. They're gonna be playing OK. They'll be playing Phoenix, which I'm gonna count that as an L. So let me start that over. Y'all. I got real bad handwriting, and I caught myself jotting down a little sticky note right here. So let me go back and do that over. So Lakers lost to Utah, I will say. Win at Pelicans. Then I'll say lost at Denver, lost at Phoenix, right? That's 3 losses. Then I say a win at Golden State, a win at OKC, and the last game of the year, Denver, if they don't have anything to play for, which I'd imagine that everything will be sold up by then, that Denver will probably be sending their superstars out unless they have a feel that if they win that game, they could put the Lakers out and spoil their opportunity to make the play-in, and that way they can ultimately avoid them if they needed to. So I think that they would play hard in that game just to vanquish them. So if they did, let's say the Lakers took that L2, there would still only be 4 games to San Antonio's 5 games, which would put the Lakers at 48 losses and put the Spurs at 49 losses, which would give the Lakers that 10th spot. And once the Lakers get that 10th spot, man, I swear these people don't know how to drive. But once these Lakers get that 10th spot, then they can go to New Orleans and get their revenge, beat their ass, and then move into the 8th game and play the winner of whoever's going to end up being in that 7th spot between Minnesota and the Clippers. And wouldn't it be great, since Paul George has returned, to see LeBron James and company against Paul George and the Clippers for all the marbles to see who is going to get that 8th spot. Man, I tell you what, that would be a match made in heaven for the NBA as far as ratings. That would be a match made in heaven for everybody that would like to see the Lakers fail, and for everybody that's pulling for the Lakers. So I'm telling you what, man, that would be a very good game. So that's pretty much what I'm counting on and what I think everybody's going to do. But I got to handle some business. So as always, just want to say, I'm going to get back with y'all on the Russell Westbrook, but right on to the real, and much love to the haters. I'm out.